So here we go. Forgive my lack of energy. I haven't eaten anything all day and I just left to school. But I want to get this message out because it's on my mind. So this topic is probably going to be passion is actually an indicator of your attachments, your trauma, the things that you need to heal. And it's glorified because passion kind of drives you. It makes you go after certain things, but at its root is really unhealed trauma. And I'm gonna show you guys why I believe this, why I think this way. And then the second part to it is how to know when it's time to let go of certain things and move in a completely other direction. You've been going like your passion, your unhealed trauma has been pushing you in one direction. You've been going, and then you get to a point where you don't want to go anymore. Like you're tired of all of it. Everything that comes with it. This could be a relationship, it could be a job. In this case, we're going to be talking about a job. So I did a video a couple weeks ago, not a couple weeks ago, a couple days, maybe it's a couple days, maybe it's a week. Last week I did a video, and it was a teacher rant. And in that video, a lot of uncharacteristic things and ways of expressing myself were coming out. It was a rant, but that's going to be way number one, that you know that a situation that you're taking part in, a relationship, a career, whatever it is that you're taking part in, is not in alignment with who you are anymore. It no longer serves you. It's time to regroup and figure out another path. You've learned the lesson of whatever that thing was supposed to teach you. So way number one is you're finding yourself ranting about that particular thing. So rants can be like in relationships. You're constantly, talking bad about your partner or talking about something your partner did or said or whatever, and you just can't, like, you keep ruminating on it. Like, you just can't let things go when it comes to what your partner did or said. It just bothers you and you have to talk about it all the time. That's going to be way number one. For me, it's with my career. Like, if you get me started on the topic of teaching and like all the things that are wrong with it, I can go on for days. And it brings out ego. It brings out all of this extra stuff that is not necessary. Like, I know that it doesn't serve me. I know and on a regular basis, that's not how I move. Like, I don't talk about how people are trying me and all this other, like, who cares about any of that stuff? It doesn't matter. But when it comes to teaching, for me, I'm just at that point where that no longer serves me. And I'm realizing, like, today, I've been spending a lot of time at inner city schools, basically schools where the kids come from low income backgrounds. And so it's like you're walking into a prison a lot of times in some of these schools. And when I first started subbing, or when I first decided I wanted to be a teacher, I used to love going to those schools. Like, teachers hated going to those schools. I used to love going to those schools. And I remember having like a passion and a drive to change things. Like, if things could just be like this, if kids could just know that, if they could just find better ways to communicate with each other, then it'll be a better situation for teachers. And all of that is correct. All of that is true. All that has a layer of truth to it. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. But so I'm used to being at these schools where the kids, they just have 10 million issues. Like, all kind of things are going on at home. They have all kinds of things going on with them personally, like, and they bring all of that with them to school. Like, it's just a heavy environment. And I remember, like, loving that. Like, I want to fix everybody. I want to, like, be here at the school with these kids, and I just want to be here and, like, make an impact in their life, and all the things that they say about teachers. I just want to throw a little disclaimer in there. All of that stuff they say about teachers is just to keep us in the profession, honestly, because you can make an impact on people without, like, the amount of sacrifice that we put in on a daily basis does not equate to all of the things that they say the teachers get out of it. Now, are there some people who are born to teach? Probably. But in the current, in the traditional class, I'll just say this, in the traditional classroom setting, the way that it's set up right now, no. Nobody's born to do that. That is strategically in place to teach certain people who think that they want to become teachers a lesson. It's specifically constructed that way so that we can learn certain lessons. We can learn that, that helping is not being a martyr. Helping is not, and also everybody doesn't need to be saved. All these kids, like these kids at the inner city school, they know what their life is, and that's why a lot of them act the way that they act, because they don't need you to save them. They're perfectly okay with how their life is going because you have seen a different perspective. You want to project that onto them, but they're fine. They don't see anything wrong with the way that they live. They don't see anything wrong with the way that they behave. They don't see anything wrong with the way that they're being raised. You're the one projecting that onto them. And some of them, if they want to live a different way, then it's not on you to change that for them. It's going to be on them to change it. And so being able to learn that lesson and just understand like certain things, passion is just unhealed trauma. That's what it is. I thought for a long time I was passionate about teaching, and I was, but it was leading to my trauma. So it really hit me today because I told you this. I told you guys that I been at all these bad schools. But today I spent time at a school where there's always going to be your troublesome kids everywhere you go. But this school was predominantly what you would say a good school. Like the rating of the school was an A. Like they focus a lot on academics, but they focus a lot on emotional, the emotional components of learning, like emotional learning. And it's just like, it's basically, I guess what I want to say is it's basically a teacher's dream, like this school. The way that the kids behave, they're very respectful. They're very like, all the things that I had to deal with at the other school, like kids not cleaning up after themselves. Like the kids are actually polite. They're actually respectful. They say thank you. They clean up after themselves. You don't even have to ask them. They, respect certain boundaries. You don't even have to tell them that the boundary is there. Like, they're going to be kids, so they push certain things or whatever, but nowhere near the way that those other kids at the bad schools do. Like, it was basically a teacher's dream. Like, when I was first starting out teaching, I would kill to have an opportunity to teach at that school, but I was miserable there today. And I'm like, it hit me. Like, I'm sitting there, like, first period ran through, okay, whatever. And, like, all the teachers are nice, like, genuinely nice. Genuinely nice. And it's like, and I'm, like, annoyed with them. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, am I this traumatized that I can only feel comfortable in a situation where everybody's rude and everybody's disrespectful? Like, is this really what's going on here? And so I had to like really, second period, whatever rolls around, by like after lunchtime going into third period, it finally hit me. I was like, this is an indication that it's time for you to step away from this. The thing that gravitated you towards teaching, what you were really passionate about, and I'm talking about myself, what I was really passionate about was trying to save people, was trying to project my idealistic views of what an ideal teaching environment would look like, and how the kids, like, I'm telling you, these kids so emotionally aware. Like, somebody in the classroom would do something, like, they were regular kids or whatever, so they were on their phones, they were doing, what kids do when a substitute is there, but in a respectful way. And it was like, a kid had said something that was a little bit out of the way, like a little bit disrespectful. And one of the kids was like, that wasn't cool. Like, no, thank you. Like, what? And I was like, oh my God, look at this. Like, Teenagers with emotional intelligence. Like, I'm telling you, it blew me away. Like, complete night and day. Complete night and day compared to the schools that I had been at before. And I was just annoyed like the whole day. And it could also be that I didn't pack my lunch, so I didn't have anything to eat today. But it was also, I was just like annoyed. I'm like, what? Like, don't talk to me. I don't want your number, whatever, because the sub coordinator was trying to get my number. Because, you know, like, they're everywhere. Even that school with those good kids is in need for subs. And it's because people are starting to wake up and realize, like, this is not it. Like, I'm just not about to be giving 200% of myself, and I'm getting, oh, you're a teacher, that must take so much patience. Oh, you're a teacher, you know, thank you so much for all the hard work that you do. What does that, like, does that pay the bills at the end of the day? How is, like, anyway, because I'm not going to get into how do I benefit from any of that, because that's not the energy that I want this video to be about. So all of that to say, rant number 2, you see how, like, I get all when I talk about teaching, that's a way that you know. And then another way that you know is when you come to a point where you experience the most ideal situation. Like, let's move away from career now and let's talk about relationships a little bit. Sometimes we're in relationships with people, and not me, because I don't do this kind of thing, because relationships is not something, like, that pattern is not something that I've had to heal. But people who have to heal that pattern, it's gonna look like getting in a relationship with somebody and you do the complaining part, right? You complain about this, you complain about that, and your partner changes everything that you complain about. But instead of being like, oh wow, like, you're actually putting in the effort, let me reciprocate, let me try to change something to, like, you know, let's collaborate on this, you find something more to complain about. Like, you're just never happy. No matter what that person does, and I know people like this, I have family members like this, no matter what that person does, it could never be good enough for you. And so that's another example of when something is, you need to back away from something. Something is no longer serving you. That's another example when you're just never happy. No matter what that person does, it just can never get, you don't want to be there. And instead of making excuses and putting it on them and saying, well, it's because of this, it's because you're too fat, it's because you talk too much, it's because of this, it's because, no, it's just simply because you don't make enough money, it's because all you do is sit on the couch all day. All of these things that we project onto our partners, which is not serving anybody, it's not serving them, because now you're beating up their self-esteem, and it's not serving you either, because you're not getting what you truly want, which is to not be in that relationship. So instead of accepting that, oh, I need to eat something. Instead of accepting that, we just sit down and just admit that you no longer want to be a part of that relationship. And it doesn't have to be this big thing. It doesn't have to be anybody's fault. It does not have to be anybody's fault. It doesn't. And things end. Everything comes to an end eventually. And then a new beginning comes right after that. But we get focused on the ending. The ending is so tragic. Oh my God. Let's avoid the ending at all costs. Forgetting that it's cyclical. It goes in a circle. Circles never end. So once it ends, a new beginning starts. But we cheat ourselves out of a new beginning because we're so afraid to stop and just say, all right, well, fuck it, like, it didn't work. Nobody's fault, just didn't work. I love you. Thank you for the lesson. Peace. I'll holler at you. Maybe we'll talk again some other time. Maybe we'll have a good laugh over this at some point in time. Maybe we'll never speak again, but it is what it is. Like, just guys, just accept things for what they are. And so that's the takeaway for today. Like, things are just coming really, really quickly. And like I said, guys, like, that's an indication that things are on the up for me. Like, they're on the up, which is why I don't want to be in certain energy, which is why these lessons keep popping up. Like, of all days, I ended up at this school today, and tomorrow I'm going to be at a different school, and the next day I'm going to be, like, I booked all high schools today, so we'll see how tomorrow goes. I just really, if I'm being honest with you guys, I don't want to be in the classroom. I don't want to be in the classroom at all, but that's just what it is right now. And that's to solidify. Like, I need to go through this to solidify, because I keep, like, the past year has been a lot of cycles, and one of them has been me leaving teaching and coming back to it, and quitting a job and coming back to it, and coming back and going back, and just like a relationship where you guys can't stay broken up. Every minute you're breaking up, making up. That was my relationship for a long time with teaching. And so now that it's the end of the relationship, I guess I'm mourning it in a sense, the way that you would mourn anything that's ending, but also excited that a new beginning is on the horizon. I just, have to close out these last couple's like chapters, I guess you can say. There's a Denny's right there. I can stop at Denny's and get myself. Can I just throw this out there? Why do certain restaurants put milkshakes on the menu but when you go there and you order the milkshake, you can never get a milkshake because it's always an excuse. Oh, the machine is down. Last time I went to a restaurant, they were like, oh, the blender is broken. And so the waiter, because it's really the waitress was too lazy to make the milkshake because it's extra work for her, apparently, which is a whole other thing that we can get into. But yeah, so she tried to play it off and asked the manager, like, is the blender still broken? And the manager laid her out. She was like, I know you guys don't like to make the milkshake, but it's nothing wrong with the blender. Straight up. And I was like, yes, that's my kind of manager right there. Because I knew, like, people, I don't know why people do what they do, but, and I've given up trying to figure out why. But actually I do know why. I'm not fixated on it the way that I used to be. Like, the only time I really focus on the why is when I'm making these videos for you guys, or if I find myself falling back into old patterns, and I'm like, okay, this is why they're doing it, Rashida. Like, just get over it. But I knew when she said it that she was lying. It's the point I'm trying to make. And then, so it was like confirmation when the manager said what she said, because I knew you were lying. Why lie? Why lie? For what? Because you assume that you're not going to get a tip? Okay, well then don't be a waitress then, because that's just what comes with that. You're going to get people that tip, and you're going to get people that don't tip. Simple. And by you thinking that there's a way for you to predict who was going to tip and when you're going to get a tip and when you're not going to get one, is not serving you. Because you don't know me. I could have been rich. I could have been ready and willing to give you $100 for my milkshake, but because you didn't want to make it, you just fucked yourself out of $100. You got to think like that, people. Like, we have to go into every situation giving our 100%, and that's another indication See, I knew there was a reason why I was going off tangent. It was to get back somewhere. Guys, there's a method to my madness, I promise. So part of me don't want to go in here because they always be having a freaking attitude. But we'll see how it goes today. Maybe things will be different. But anyway, what was I gonna say? That's another indication that that something is not for you anymore. When you're unable, or when it feels like it's too much to show up and give your 100%. Not 80, not 70. Because to me, like that, everybody can live their life however they want. But to me, I'm not showing up unless I can give 100%. That's in any situation I'm a part of. For what? Like, why am I going to show up and I'm not bringing all of myself to the table? Because that's what I expect from other people. So I give what I expect. I expect your 100%. You need to give me your 100%. Simple. So that's another indication. When you are dreading going to a place, when you're dreading seeing the person that you're with, that is an indication that that situation no longer served you. It probably didn't serve you from the beginning, but you needed to go through that lesson and figure it out. Okay? We're at that point now and I'm here, so I need to go get something to eat. I will talk to you guys later. Until next time. Be well.